Agribusiness brought to you by SureCrop, quality liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
Good morning and welcome back to the show. We're at the 2013 No-Till on the Plains Conference in Salina at the beautiful Bicentennial Center. Rick, thanks for joining us. Rick or Richard?
What Rick. I was only Richard when I was in trouble.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I was Brian Chad when I was in trouble. So thanks for joining us this morning. Soil scientist.
Yes, sir.
How does no-till play in soil conservation here in the U.S.?
Well, it plays a big part, and part of what we're trying to do is, as we transition to no-till, is we're trying to help guys with the fertility, because the fertility changes, especially when you get cover crops in there. You start changing the fertility and the way plants get nutrients, and so it's going to change the way we do recommendations for fertilizers and things like that, because we have a more diverse system. We're going to free up some nutrients that weren't available before with this new system, and we're going to try to move it forward, agriculture forward.
Well, let's talk about percentages of people who are using no-till. Do you have that, or have an idea of
in Texas, there's not, I would say maybe 10%.
Really?
Yeah.
They like their tractors in
Texas.
Texas.
I grew up working on farms most of my life before I got into academia, 20 years later, and I like to till.
Right.
But I now see the fruits of no-till, and it's changed me. And so our research, we have a couple hundred acres in Texas, and now we're doing no-till and conventional till side by side to see what the benefits are.
What's USDA's thought on it? I mean, as far as having it as a practice, is it something that USDA is making recommendation to drought-stricken states that they should look at no-till?
Well, I can't really speak for USDA. We're the agricultural research arm, we're the research arm of that, and people are doing it, and we need to support it, in my opinion. And so, right now, I wouldn't say USDA is going to come out and say, let's do conventional till or do no-till, but they're going to support what farmers are doing.
Right. Well, not that they would come down and say you have to do this one way or the other.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter. They do whatever they want.
Right,
anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, again, we're talking about drought-stricken states. Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and some of the states surrounding all of those hit hard by drought over the last 2 years. Does that change the farmer's mindset?
It does, and we've had a lot more focus on no-till. We've had a lot more focus on efficient fertilizer use, because a lot of guys went out there and spent $80, $90 an acre on fertilizer, and then the drought hit. Well,
it just sets on top and blows away.
Well, but you already paid for it.
Right.
And then you didn't get any yield, and nothing happened, and now some of those nutrients were retained in the soil, but not all of them. And so it really makes people change the way they think about farming, because the future of farming may be moisture conservation if these patterns continue. And in my opinion, if the drought pattern doesn't break, we're going to all be forced to no-till in the long run, whether you want to or not.
Right.
It's just going to be moisture conservation, not the practice, what we can do to help.
And certain cover crops help certain parts of the country better. Well, down in your area, what are some of those cover crops that work well in that dry, humid area?
We use hairy vetch, Austrian winter peas, we use ryegrass, and we're working with guys like Dave Brandt and Gabe Brown to figure out what species that we should use. It's like our second year of the mixed species cover crop.
Right.
So we're still trying to figure that out, but we'll get there.
Well, we're going to take a quick break if that's all right.
Sure.
And when we come back, we'll talk about maybe hay and some of the issues that go along with no-till and hay production. You're watching Ag AM in Kansas, and we'll see you in just a minute.
Agribusiness brought to you by Tarwater Farm and Home. Come on by, we'll treat you like family.
Thanks for staying with us through the commercial break this morning. We're at the 2013 No-Till on the Plains Conference in beautiful Salina, Kansas, at the Bicentennial Center, and we're joined by Rick. Thanks for staying. I almost called you Richard. You're not in trouble.
It's all right.
Anyways, okay, so you're a soil scientist.
Yes.
And we were talking about soil conservation in our first segment. Hay's been one of those commodities that's extremely hard to find. When you do find it, it's not great quality. If you've got good quality, you generally hold on to it for yourself. Does no-till play a role in when it comes to managing hay and hay resources?
Well, I think it can. In Texas, a lot of guys have coastal Bermuda fields, and they just lay there all winter.
Right.
You know, nothing's growing. And what we've experimented with at the research station is we've no-tilled some cover crops in there. And then at another location that we have, we've got cattle grazing those. And the point being that you can get your hay production off and actually sell the hay to somebody else and let your cattle graze your cover crops. You're not consuming your hay, you're giving better nutrition, and you're providing hay for other folks. So there's no reason to let that resource sit there and not use it. And then some of the guys that I've talked to here that know a lot more about hay production and grasslands than me say that they need to start using cold season perennials also in their hay mixes and have year-round grazing. I think that's a great way forward.
Well, as that dies down, I mean, we're talking about managing that top 3 layers of topsoil.
Yes.
Some of the research you're doing, does that help manage that top 3 inches?
It does, because whenever we have a living plant growing below the soil, you have a massive root system, and you draw lots of microbes to those roots because that's where they live and stay. And then you start breaking down nutrients that weren't available before, and if that's happening year-round, even though it's slower in the winter, you get the cycle running and the process moving, and it doesn't do anything but help us be more efficient.
Shallow or deep, does it matter?
Well, the top 6 inches is really where the game is for microbes and stuff. Now, in some soil testing, we prefer deeper samples in the root zone, but most of the time 0 to 6 is the samples we analyze because that's where all the microbial activity is, and they're delivering us free fertilizers, and that's what we're really kind of after.
Some better than others?
Some
as far as, well, cover crops that provide that better than others?
You know, not so much. They leak carbon out their roots, and that's what microbes are after, and that's what attracts them. So it's not so much what you've got, is if you've got a diverse cover of it, because you get different leakage and different carbon forms and a more diverse set of microbes under there, really revving the system up.
Good way to get that started is just pick a cover crop and get going.
Yeah. Do something.
Do something. Anything is better than nothing.
It is. You can't move forward sitting on your hands.
Right. Well, Richard, thank you for your time. It was very nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.